We're starting with Decision 2024. In Congress and the courts, Republicans have seized on a new dark theory about our elections. It's the claim that thousands of non-citizens, undocumented immigrants, will be allowed to vote in the presidential election. They're pushing new laws and lawsuits and falsehoods on social media. Republican Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer is one of the targets of those lawsuits. His office oversees voter registration in the second largest voting jurisdiction in the country. Welcome back to Square Off.
Thank you very much.
The stakes are high, as you know. Maricopa is a swing county that could determine who wins the presidential election.
I think we'll decide the fate of the free universe here in Arizona, and specifically Maricopa County, so choose wisely.
Choose wisely. All right. You're officially a lame duck after this election. You're not acting like one. You took on Elon Musk on social media. Elon Musk asking questions about illegal voting in Arizona. You decided to engage. Why?
Well, because it wasn't just asking questions, unfortunately. It was taking something that was represented as just a lawsuit, as an opinion, and suggesting that it was fact. And unfortunately, it was a gross mischaracterization of what the law and the process is in Arizona with respect to how we prove citizenship of voters in Arizona.
He is a new player since 2020, now owns that little storefront we call X. He has 200 million followers. What is his potential impact?
Well, and that's why it's frustrating, and that's why I chose to respond. It's not because, I wanted to just engage just for the purpose of engaging, but he obviously commands such a large audience, and so for anyone who is interested in the accurate information, I post that there, hoping that some fraction of the people who follow him will also see that, which is that Arizona has a documented proof of citizenship law, and that's been in place since 2004, and actually that puts Arizona way ahead of most other states in terms of our processes for making sure that only United States citizens are voting.
So let's dig into that a little more. Elon Musk was asking the question, Arizona is refusing to remove illegals from voter rolls. That was his question. He was responding to a lawsuit filed last week by Trump allies that accuses you and the 14 other county recorders of illegally refusing to scrub the voter rolls of non-citizens. You were sued last month. Now the other 14 are also part of the suit. Your response specifically to that claim, you're refusing to scrub the rolls.
So if you are a non-citizen, not only will we move you off the rolls, but we will send that ahead for prosecution because it is unlawful to register in the state of Arizona if you are not a United States citizen. It is unlawful to vote. Now, 99.6% of our registrants have shown documented proof of citizenship. That either comes through the Arizona Motor Vehicle Division, or that's a passport, or that's a birth certificate. For the other 0.4%, they have attested under penalty of law that they are United States citizens. And under federal law, we cannot remove those people. So it's a gross mischaracterization of the law, and it's a mischaracterization, again, of where Arizona is, because that requirement to just attest that you are a United States citizen is actually what governs the vast majority of states.
And that's where a lot of the confusion or complication comes in. I want to back up for a second and come back to that. Just to be clear to folks, a driver's license, is that proof of citizenship?
If you obtain the driver's license after 1996, we have what's called Real ID here in Arizona, meaning you had to have your U.S. citizenship status on file. So yes, that is sufficient for most voters here in Arizona.
So getting back to those people and the complication here, it involves the federal-only ballot. I understand this is kind of hard to understand.
It is.
It is not intuitive. There's a federal-only ballot that allows people to vote without proof of citizenship?
Without proof of citizenship, because that is required by federal law. Now, does it mean that these people aren't United States citizens? No. In fact, these people have attested under penalty of law that they are United States citizens. And again, that is the rule of the land for the vast majority of states. But in Arizona, we upped the situation and we said, if you want to be able to vote in all contests, you have to provide documented proof of citizenship.
So the focus is on these 42,000 so-called federal-only voters.
Correct.
They are the ones suspected of being undocumented immigrants, non-citizens. What do you know about that group of voters?
So we ran a last name search, and I think I'm forgetting the last names, but I think the two most common names were Johnson and Smith.
Johnson and Smith.
Right. You know, typical.
Very Anglo names.
Yes.
Yes.
And that Jen Fifield did a study and showed that these are disproportionately concentrated around some of our university areas, suggesting that these might be new registrants who just don't have access to their birth certificate or to their passport, might be with mom and dad who you might not be living with anymore. But the important part is that federal law does not allow us to remove these people. If you want to change the law, I might even agree with you on that. But what frustrated me about Mr. Musk is he just took this lawsuit, which was an allegation that was completely without merit, and then he promoted it as true. And then all of a sudden you had millions of people thinking that Arizona is going to do something wrong. And as you know very well, this is already a tense environment inside of a swing state, and ginning people up without factual basis is just grossly irresponsible. And this is a group that has filed lots of claims, lawsuits with lacking merit. Only a few months ago, this group claimed that Maricopa County discriminated against white voters.
Discriminating against white people.
Yeah. Now, of course, that lawsuit failed, but the frustration I have with social media is nobody ever follows up and says, like, hey, look at this. And of course, Elon Musk doesn't post our response to the complaint. He only posts the complaint. And so that's a frustrating situation.
What would you say to Elon Musk if he were sitting right over there right now?
Give us a chance, please. You know, before posting this, ask. I would love to explain some of these processes such that he could use his immense microphone to share accurate information. And then we could have a policy conversation. And you know what? I agree. I agree that states should be allowed to require documented proof of citizenship for 100% of the voters, but we need to have a real assessment of what the actual facts are before we have that conversation.
Is it possible there are non-citizens among those 42,000?
It's possible. That would be a violation of the law.
It's a felony.
It would be a felony. It's possible people violate the law. Now, in some of the post-election studies that have been done of this, it's been shown that very, very, very few instances of non-citizens voting are found.
You mentioned how this gins people up, this social media outrage gins people up. You are an example of the impact. This is a Friday. You are leaving here to go speak to the FBI and others about one more trial involving someone who's threatened your life.
Yeah, so this was a man in San Diego who consumed some posts and some information from some of our leading lights here in Arizona regarding the election administration system. And then he decided it was appropriate to leave voice messages threatening to kill me. And that's unlawful. And unfortunately, while he's the agent of his own actions, you see the impact of the statements that are knowingly false from some of our leaders. And it has impacts on real people's lives. This person's probably going to go to jail for quite a few years. And so if you're a leader, words matter. And that's why I think someone like Elon Musk has a responsibility to dig a little bit deeper on some of these claims that will most assuredly get people animated.
And he's not the first person others have already gone to prison.
Yes,
for those
indeed.
threats. What a time.
What a time.
Stephen Richer, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Take care.